India Legal presents Courts Roundup.
Hello, I am Tanya Chugh and you are watching Courts Roundup. In this program, we bring you the latest legal news and details of court proceedings. Before we begin, here are the headlines. Special CBI Court of Kerala sentences Father Thomas M. Couture and Sister Seffi to life imprisonment for the murder of Sister Abhya. Karnataka High Court refuses to quash criminal complaint of corruption against Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa. Madras High Court says advocates should refrain from resorting to boycotts and strikes. Court restrains lawyers from donning advocates' black gown during strikes. Citing service rules for grave misconduct, Uttarakhand High Court suspends District Judge Prashant Joshi for using forgery accused car for official travel, cuts salary to half during suspension period.
India Legal presents Courts Roundup.
A special CBI court at Tiruvananthapuram sentenced Father Thomas M. Couture and Sister Seffi to life imprisonment for the murder of Sister Abhya 28 years ago. Both convicts are required to pay fine of 5 lakh rupees each. Both convicts were charged with murder and destruction of evidence, among other things.
A Central Bureau of Investigation court has sentenced Father Thomas Couture and Sister Seffi to life imprisonment for the 1992 murder of Sister Abhya at a convent in Kottayam district of Kerala. The two have also been required to pay a fine of rupees 5 lakh each. Apart from the 5 lakh rupees fine imposed on the two, Father Couture has been directed to pay a sum of rupees 1 lakh for house trespass. Earlier, CBI Judge K. Sanil Kumar pronounced Father Thomas Couture and Sister Seffi guilty in the 28-year-old murder investigation. The two, along with another, had also been charged with murder and destruction of evidence and house trespass, that is, Section 302, 201 and 449 of the Indian Penal Code. The second accused, Father Jus Putrukail, was discharged from the case in 2018 for lack of evidence. The prosecution had pleaded for maximum sentence of death penalty for the culprits by arguing that case belonged to the rarest of the rarest category. The defense lawyer pleaded for leniency in sentence. It was submitted that Couture, 71-year-old, was suffering from cancer and Seffi has aged parents to take care of. The verdict came more than 28 years after Sister Abhya was found murdered at a convent in Kottayam district of Kerala. Her body was found inside the well of the convent on 27 March 1992. The case itself saw many twists and turns before it was eventually tried in court. In 1993, the state police filed a closure report saying it was a case of suicide. The matter was then handed over to CBI after an activist, Jamon Puthenpurakal, took it to the court. However, the CBI in 1996 filed a report stating it could not conclude whether it was a homicide or suicide. The court, however, rejected the same and ordered reinvestigation. A year later, CBI concluded that the case was indeed a homicide, but there was no evidence to try to the case. This was again rejected by the court and a third round of CBI probe began. 10 years later, the first arrests are made in the case when Father Thomas Couture, Father Jus Putrukail and Sister Seffi were arrested and charged for the murder in 2008. They were later granted bail by the Kerala High Court in 2009. Putrukail was later discharged. Pursuant to a High Court order this year, the trial resumed and verdict were pronounced. A single bench of Justice V.G. Arun noted that the long delay in the completion of trials and directed that the matter be heard on a day-to-day basis lest the wheel of justice come to a grinding halt. Bureau Report.
We are joined by Advocate Adarsh with us. Adarsh, tell us about the sentence given to the convicts in this Sister Abhaya's case.
Yes, in this case, a special CBI court at Thiruvananthapuram today sentenced to life imprisonment Father Thomas M. Couture and Sister Safi, a priest and a nun of the Catholic Church, respectively, for the murder of Sister Abhaya 28 years ago. The two have also been required to pay a fine of 5 lakhs each. After from the 5 lakh fine imposed on the two fathers, Couture has been directed to pay a sum of 1 lakh for house trespass. The two, along with another, had been charged with murder and destruction of evidence at house trespass under section 302, 201 and 449 IPC. Sister Abhaya today was found inside the well of the convent of March 27, 1992. The case itself saw many twists and turns before it was eventually tried in court. Yes.
Thank you, Adarsh, for joining us. The Karnataka High Court has refused to quash a criminal complaint registered under the Prevention of Corruption Act against Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa, who is alleged of denotifying parcels of land and allotting it to entrepreneurs during his tenure as the Deputy Chief Minister of the state between February 2006 and October 2007.
The Karnataka High Court has refused to quash a criminal complaint registered against Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa under the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. It is alleged that Yediyurappa had denotified parcel of land and allotted it to the entrepreneurs during his tenure as the Deputy CM of the state between February 2006 and October 2007. Justice John Michael refused to quash the first information report dated 21st December 2005 registered by the Kerala Lokayukt Police for the offences punishable under Section 13(1)(d) read with Section 13(2) of Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 on the basis of a private complaint filed by one Vasudeva Reddy. Senior Advocate C.V. Nagesh, appearing for Yediyurappa, had contended that in respect of the very same FIR, accused number 1, Raghunath Vishwanath Deshpande, had preferred a writ petition before the court which had quashed the FIR. Therefore, in view of that order, an investigation against the petitioner based on the very same FIR is illegal and amount to abuse of process of court, he argued. The court also placed reliance on the judgment passed in the case of H.D. Kumaraswamy versus State of Karnataka. Before parting with the judgment, the bench pulled up the Lokayukt Police for delay in investigation against Yediyurappa. The court remarked that as the investigation is still in process, it does not intend to pass any direction mandating any action against the Lokayukt Police, who is entrusted with the investigation in the matter. However, it reprimanded the police for its laxity in conducting the investigation. Bureau Report.
In a case of grave misconduct by a judge, the Uttarakhand High Court has suspended District Judge Prashant Joshi for using forgery accused car for official travel. On disciplinary action, the court said that this conduct touched upon his integrity, amounts to grave misconduct. Said conduct is unbecoming of a judicial officer. During the suspension period, the judge will be paid half his salary.
The Uttarakhand High Court has suspended a district judge who travelled to a camp court in private car belonging to an accused after fixing the official board of district judge on that car. The High Court's office memorandum described the act of District Judge Prashant Joshi as amounting to grave misconduct and as touching upon his integrity. The act and conduct touches upon integrity, amounts to grave misconduct and is in violation of Rule 31, 32 and Rule 30 of the Uttarakhand Government Servant Conduct Rules 2002. Said conduct is unbecoming of a judicial officer. Office memorandum suspending the judge stated. The The officer was supposed to have travelled to the camp court in his official vehicle. Instead, he used a private car owned by one Keval Krishan Soin, which was fitted with just official name board, the memorandum said. The order pointed out that this might have been to protect the owner and the occupants of the car from nefarious activities. It also stated the vehicle was parked outside the official High Court guest house. To make matters worse, the memorandum noted that Soin has a case of forgery, cheating and criminal conspiracy pending against him, and a writ petition to quash the same is also pending before the Uttarakhand High Court, stating that the above actions constituted grave misconduct and violated Uttarakhand Government Servants Conduct Rules 2002. The court suspended the judicial officer and directed that he be paid only half his salary as subsistence allowance along with dearness allowance. This amount is to be paid over to him on the date of suspension. Other compensatory allowance shall be admissible subject to the condition that expenses being actually incurred by him, the communication said. It also said that Joshi should remain attached with the district judgeship headquarters through the Prayag and should not leave the station without obtaining the prior permission of the High Court. Bureau Report.
A court at Srinagar has granted interim relief to Sheila Rashid by restraining her estranged father Abdul Rashid Shora from publishing any material which causes harassment, agony or defamation to herself, her mother or her sister. The court has also restrained media outlets, social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter, and also Google and YouTube from publishing, telecasting or broadcasting any matter with respect to the matrimonial life of the plaintiffs and Abdul Shora.
A Srinagar court granted relief to the Sheila Rashid, restraining her estranged father as well as media channel from publishing, telecasting or broadcasting matter that are defamatory, intrusive of her right to privacy or her right to live with dignity and honor. Judge Fayaz Ahmed Qureshi passed the order on a prima facie opinion that the material published against Rashid, her mother and sister were violative of their right to privacy and their right to live with dignity and honor. The Small Causes Court was dealing with a suit by Sheila Rashid, her mother Zubeda Akhtar and sister Asma Rashid. The injunction order was passed against Sheila Rashid's father Abdul Rashid Shora and certain media outlets Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and Google. The court directed defendants to refrain from causing any interference in Sheila Rashid's life and from publishing any material which has the potential to cause harassment, agony and pain to Rashid or which is defamatory in nature. The court also ordered media outlets and social media entities from publishing, telecasting or broadcasting matters concerning the private matrimonial dispute between Sheila Rashid's parents. Towards this end, they have been directed to suspend the online links containing such content which is defamatory, intrudes on the plaintiff's right to privacy or which is defamatory. The three plaintiffs had argued that the Abdul Rashid Shora has made every attempt to defame and lower their reputation by levelling false and frivolous allegation, including branding the plaintiffs as anti-national elements. The media outlet was stated to have failed in conducting themselves professionally insofar as they published such defamatory material, the court was told. The court added that the media outlet had no legal justification to highlight a private issue between the plaintiffs and Shora when the matter is being dealt with by the court. The court, however, gave liberty to the defendant, non-applicant, to approach it for the modifications, alteration or cancellation of the restraining order by the next date of hearing, that is 30th December 2020. Bureau Report.
The Madras High Court has emphasized that advocates should refrain from resorting to boycotts and strikes, given that this would affect the rights of litigant public and the justice delivery system. The court said that bar leaders are not labor or political leaders to call for strikes. They are advocates belonging to noble profession. The bench opined that lawyers should not resort to strikes in any circumstance when aggrieved litigants are approaching the courts for relief.
The Madras High Court passed an interim order to restrain lawyers from donning advocates black gown or coat and neckband while participating in strikes and like demonstrations. The Madurai bench of Justice N. Kirubakaran and B. Pugalendi passed the order while observing that the lawyer's gown, which can be worn only within the court campus, cannot be taken advantage of by advocates who participate in strikes carried out in the streets. Therefore, it has directed the Bar Council of Tamil Nadu and Puducherry to direct advocates not to wear the advocate's black gown and neckband during such protest. The interim order was passed on a petition moved by Advocate B. Ramkumar Adityan to ensure that advocates maintain a proper dress code during court proceedings and to restrain them from wearing the lawyer's neckband and gown during the strikes, boycott and agitations. The petitioner submitted that on the one hand, some advocates are found to use their own mode of dress and not appearing in proper dress code during court proceedings. Various representations have also been addressed to the Bar Council of Tamil Nadu and Puducherry over such issues in the past year, the petitioner informs. Further, concern was raised that advocates participating in strikes, boycott of courts and road agitations wear their gown and neckband, although such demonstrations are the antithesis of their obligations under the Advocate Act 1961. This has to be strictly avoided, the petitioner contended. In view of these observations, the petitioner has urged the Madras High Court to pass directions so that the Bar Council of India and the State Bar Council ensures that all the advocates maintain proper dress code during court proceedings and lawyers do not wear advocates' neckband and gown during strikes, boycott and agitations. Advocate S. Krishnan appeared for the petitioner. The petition was filed through Advocate G. Suresh Kumar. The court has also issued notice in the matter. Bureau Report.
A contempt plea has been filed before the Supreme Court against Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Union Home Minister Amit Shah and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman for not formulating the National Disaster Mitigation Fund as directed by the top court in 2016. The plea has claimed that there has been willful disobedience on the part of respondents in complying with the directions of top court in 2016 verdict in Swaraj Abhiyan versus Union of India. The apex court in that judgment had noted that even after 10 years of Disaster Management Act having been passed by the Parliament, the National Disaster Mitigation Fund was not created and thus directions were issued to formulate one within 3 months then. Patil states that he had received an email in March this year demanding donation into the PM CARES Fund. However, it averred that all objectives of the PM CARES Fund tally with those of NDMF. Thus, it has been submitted that since the PM CARES Fund tallies with NDMF, the PM CARES Fund be covered and synchronized as per the Disaster Management Act 2005, since it cannot be left at the mercy of Board of Trustees of PM CARES Fund. Rahul Mehra, Standing Counsel, Delhi, has denied consent for initiation of criminal contempt against a CBI officer who allegedly hit a public prosecutor. The instant case is not fit for granting my consent for criminal contempt proceedings under the Contempt of Courts Act 1971, Mehra said. Request for sanction was made by Advocate Amit Sahani by way representation under Section 15 of the Contempt of Courts Act 1971. Sahani had sought initiation of contempt proceedings against Raghvendra Vats, DIG, CBI after he reportedly punched and strangulated a CBI prosecutor inside CBI headquarters. The assault happened over the delay in framing of charges against former Secretary to Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in a corruption case. It was Sahani's assertion that Vats caused deliberate obstruction in the administration of justice. Mehra, however, opined that averments in Sahani's representation for now did not amount to criminal contempt as per Section 2C of the Contempt of Court Act 1971. It was noted that separate authorities had already initiated appropriate actions at their own levels. considering that a large number of persons have travelled to India from the United Kingdom before the central government suspended flights in the wake of new COVID-19 strain. Delhi High Court on Wednesday directed the Aam Aadmi Party government to ensure adequate testing and follow-up of positive cases in the national capital. A division bench of Justices Hema Kohli and Subramoniam Prasad also directed the government to formulate within 2 weeks a standard operating procedure for post-COVID complications. The court was dealing with Advocate Rakesh Malhotra's petition concerning the status of COVID-19 in the city. The court observed that situation of COVID-19 was improving as the positivity rate had come down. We can see things climb down. The picture is encouraging right now, the court remarked as it took on record Delhi government's status report. The court noted that the Delhi government proposed to enhance contact tracing and create more containment zones in districts where the positivity rate was more. It also recorded that in a meeting of the Delhi Disaster Management Authority, it was decided to start representative testing. That's all for Courts Roundup. Keep watching APN.
India Legal presents Courts Roundup.